It's me, Mario!
Hi, I'm the Nintendoist, and Super Mario 64 basically created 3D games. I think we can all agree with that. While there were 3D games before this, Mario 64 was the first game to get it truly right. A game like Crash felt more like a 2D game with the camera just behind the character. Top-down games kinda scratched that itch letting you move around in an open space, but it felt more like you were just looking down at a map. It was hard to get immersed in a game like that, at least for me. Super Nintendo games that used the FX chip were possible with pseudo 3D graphics like with Star Fox or Doom. These were and still are really impressive for the consoles they're on, but don't age great nowadays. The jump to 3D wasn't an easy one. Don't have to bring up Sonic Extreme, do I? But it wasn't until the Nintendo 64 release with one game to showcase what video games can be and set a standard for everyone else to follow, that 3D gaming finally found its footing.
Watch out! You're gonna crash! Ah!
While to a much lesser extent, Mario 64 also defined what games can be. The large open areas with so much to explore, a fun moveset, awesome bosses and phenomenal soundtracks set the bar for what video games would be from now on, and was the first true sandbox game. This was evolved further in Super Mario Sunshine. While I don't have a lot of experience with this game as I've only played around 2 hours, this game took the Sandbox Mario idea in a different direction. Whether it was a good one is hard to say, but it seems like Sandbox Mario is just getting started. Oh, so let's just throw it out then, alright. Super Mario Galaxy is one of the best games ever made, let's not kid ourselves here. But it decided to go and infuse Sandbox Mario with 2D Mario. There's still a lot of times where it feels more open, but there's also many times where it feels a lot more linear. This was probably due to how the Wii was capturing a much different audience than their previous consoles, so they wanted to make it more accessible while also keeping the exploration element of past games. And I think this is a pretty good balance of both ideas, but then they made it more accessible, and then more accessible, and then more accessible, and again, that isn't a bad thing at all. But with 3D Land and 3D World especially, they can just feel a bit generic and helped a lot with alienating fans of the first two games. Wait a minute. But then, on October 20th, 2016 when the Nintendo Switch was revealed, it showed off a brand new 3D Mario game. The game was fully revealed at the Switch presentation in January 2017 as Super Mario Odyssey. A brand new sandbox Mario game like 64 and Sunshine. My 7-year-old self was a bit more enamored by the mind-blowing trailer for Breath of the Wild, but was still super excited for this game. All the places look really cool and I found the hat with eyes pretty funny. The E3 trailer was even more exciting as the dinosaur looked insane and I loved the main theme Jump Up Superstar. When the game came out in October, I was just dying to play it. I was watching all the reviews and let's plays I could. I must have watched that live action CGI hybrid trailer like 50 times. But Christmas finally came, and from my mum's side of the family I got a neon red and blue Nintendo Switch. And from my dad's side of the family, I got Super Mario Odyssey, plus all 3 amiibo that released alongside it. Holding the game just felt so surreal. Reading the back of the box and looking at the little pictures, I put the Joy-Cons in the Joy-Con grip for the very first time and pressed play, not knowing that this game would make me a lifelong Nintendo fan.
Think fast, Chuckle Nuts!
As soon as the game starts, we are thrown into a fight between Mario and Bowser. This game starts where most Mario games end, and it goes a long way in showing that this will be a very unique Mario game. Surprisingly, Bowser ends up winning, sending Mario flying off to who knows where. Bowser states that his goal this time is to marry Peach, and then he takes off in his ship with her. Yeah, forget Mario vs Donkey Kong, this time is Mario vs forced marriages. Then Mario wakes up in the Cap Kingdom and meets this new character, Cappy, who explains that his sister Tiara has been kidnapped by Bowser to use his Peach's tiara. Good name there, guys. He and Mario agree to team up to stop Bowser, and from then on the game's story consists of Mario and Cappy chasing Bowser from kingdom to kingdom to save Peach and Tiara. It's really just the regular Bowser kidnaps Peach with Mario giving chase storyline, but there's enough new elements here to keep me invested. As soon as you start playing the game, you realize one thing: Cappy is the best. On top of Mario's already great controls, Cappy adds a whole new element of movement, and it gives a rhythm to just playing the game. You can pull off some insane jumps with Cappy, and it's so much fun. I spent hours of my life just parkouring around in the bigger kingdoms like the Sand, Wooded or Metro Kingdom. And speaking of the kingdoms, these are some of the best open areas in games, like in general. Despite the fairly low 900p resolution in dock mode, these kingdoms and the game overall still look and run great. It's almost like the Switch can actually run great looking games that are optimized for the console, and releasing a game on it isn't an excuse for being an unplayable buggy mess from the highest grossing media franchise in human history. Nintendo knew exactly what we could do with this moveset and designed the kingdoms around it. There's this whole underwater segment at the start of the Lake Kingdom that you can just skip with a well-timed triple jump, and Cappy even acknowledges it. At first it might sound like these moves make the game too easy and removes the challenge or whatever, but no. These are tricks for you to learn if you love the game enough to master the controls. They aren't required for anything and they don't make the game any less fun. Though I do have one tiny problem with the controls, this. It may not look like much, and trust me it's not, but this could actually be a problem for some people. You see, this move, plus a downwards throw move that I don't really know how to do, is the only move in the entire game that is exclusive to motion controls. The reason this matters is if you're playing in handheld mode or on a Switch Lite, you have to yank the entire console up to do the move, which can be annoying if you're playing in bed or something. And if you have a disability that makes you unable to move your arm in this way, or you're just using a third party controller with no motion control, you are shit out of luck. It's not really a big deal to me since I never use handheld mode, but I still would have preferred if there was a way to do with just button controls. I don't really know how to transition to this, but moons. The moons are the main collectible that give your ship the power to go from kingdom to kingdom. These things are everywhere and are really fun to collect. I've heard a lot of people say that collecting moons doesn't feel special since there's so many of them. And to that I say, stop pissing on the moons, who do you think you are, Eggman? While I do think collecting a star in Mario 64 felt a bit more exciting, the adrenaline rush of collecting a moon and hearing that jingle just never really got old to me. You can buy them in the shop though, and there's no limit to how many you can buy, so that's kinda weird. Speaking of the shop, or more accurately the Crazy Cap store, this place lets you buy a whole lot of stuff like moons, hearts, souvenirs to put inside your ship, stickers to put on the outside, and these incredible costumes. The costumes are such a fun part of the game that they never needed to put in. Did you hate The Last of Us because Joel didn't look like this? Well, have I got an Odyssey for you. I did brush on this topic earlier, but Mario controls so well. I never really put two and two together on this, but without Cappy, he basically has the same moveset as Mario 64. The triple jump, long jump, somersault, backflip, mid-air dive, all of that. But it's so snappy and responsive now, and has some other stuff from Sunshine and Galaxy. And with Cappy is a whole different story. It can be used as a ranged projectile, a platform for you to bounce off of, and it gives you access to the capture abilities. The capture abilities are great and give so many unique ways to play. You can capture almost anything from a piece of meat to a manhole cover. And unlike some games, the abilities are well thought out and work well with the level design and Mario's moveset. And some of them control weird. Like aiming with a tank just doesn't work very well. It's more accurate with motion controls, but they could have just made the control better anyways. But now, let's talk about one of my favorite parts of the game, the bosses. From a flower UFO to a hyper-realistic dragon that looks straight out of Demon Souls, the bosses are just so unique and cool. The Brutals are pretty cool. I like that they made new characters to take the Koopling spot. They show up a bit too often, but I like them enough, especially with the Megazord thing they do. And the final sequence is one of the best I've ever seen in a Nintendo game. The Bowser fight is alright, a bit easy, but I like it. But then this happens. What the fuck? Oh my god, I'm controlling Bowser and slashing things and punching walls and going 8-bit, and this is also vocal thing playing in sound by Tails? This is one of the best moments in the entire franchise, though I feel like this segment should have lasted a bit longer. You only get to hear the song for like a minute. Though literally making a final rush to escape the moon, this feels like something straight out of Sonic Adventure 2. And this ending cutscene is so great. Mario comforting Bowser after they both got rejected by Peach is so goddamn hilarious. I had a huge smile on my face when I first saw this.
Gonna start.
After the credits roll, you unlock the Mushroom Kingdom. As someone who absolutely adores Super Mario 64, this kingdom is such a perfect love letter to that game. I love the Mario 64 costume. I love that they changed the moons to stars. I love that they put Yoshi on the roof. I just love this kingdom, and I think you can tell by now. Also, these moon rocks show up in every kingdom, and when you throw Cappy at them, it adds a bunch of new moons to every kingdom. Once you get 250 moons, you unlock the dark side of the moon, which is just a boss rush against the Brutals. I remember this being pretty hard and having to scan my Red and Peach amiibo multiple times to get extra health so I could beat these guys, but it's probably because I was 8 years old and stupid. And then finally, there's the darker side of the moon. A final gauntlet of some of the hardest challenges in the game. I like it well enough. I never really find myself replaying it like I do with Champions Road in 3D World, but I really like the new Bowser segment at the end. And when you're climbing the skyscraper at the end and Cappy is reminiscing on your journey together, it gets kinda emotional. Also, I remember a friend tried to convince me that there was a darkest side of the moon. I didn't believe him. After the game is 100%ed, there's not really much to do, unless you're me and jump around for the next 600 hours. Well, they did add something new through through updates, that being Luigi's Balloon World. This new side mode has you hiding balloons for other people to find and finding other people's balloons. This was a perfect idea because it rewards the mastery of the game's controls. You can get a lot of coins from finding balloons, but you have to do it during a pretty strict time limit, so you gotta be quick. There's not a whole lot to it, but it's a really fun thing to switch to every now and again. When the Switch's Online eventually gets shut down, I'm gonna miss this mode. It's a lot of fun. Overall, Super Mario Odyssey is a magical game. It does everything it possibly can and does it all fantastically. It's not absolutely perfect, but no game is, and for a game as ambitious as this one, it's surprising there aren't more flaws. A great story, borderline perfect controls, gorgeous graphics even when on such limited hardware. The music, I didn't even mention how fantastic the music is. The creativity and the capture abilities and new characters. It all comes together to form a game, or more accurately, an Odyssey, unlike any other. This game is a generational Super Mario 64, and its legacy will live on forever, just like with that original N64 game. On my 7-point scale, I give Super Mario Odyssey a perfect score of 7. If you're watching this in 2025 or beyond, pun entirely intended, I want you to remember this time. Currently, we're all awaiting the announcement of the Switch 2, and with it a new 3D Mario game. Will they keep going with the Odyssey formula? Will they build off what Bowser's Fury did and make a fully open world Mario game? Or what if they went back to the Galaxy games? You'll never know with Nintendo. Unpredictability is kinda their thing. Well, I guess only time will tell.